inch and a half of shim where it's the worst, and then pull an inch over the whole thing. From the Wiscasset line all the way down to the mountain road. So it should be, I believe it'll be a good job. It should give us 15, 20 years of life without, you know, something damaging it. So.
No, I think, you know, if they're willing to wait till July for their money, it would be fool.
I mean, if they know it, they understand it.
Well, they'd like to get us done, and I'd like to get us done.
So you don't want to be paving.
Then I can attack our town stuff, you know.
Okay, so do it.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No, I don't know about anything.
Okay. Codes Officer's report, I have it here. Issued 8 building permits, 3 new principal dwellings, 3 accessory structures, and 2 residential solar. Issued 4 plumbing permits, 2 septics, and 2 internal. Fees, as passed at the town meeting, fees will be set by the select board. The proposed fees are reasonable for building subdivision exception. Proposed fees are 25 cents per square foot, minimum of $30, 15 cents unfinished, minimum of $30, 25 cents for commercial, minimum of $60. Appeals, 250, exceptions, 250, subdivisions, 500 plus advertising, $100 per lot. In brief comparison, we would be no higher than anybody else in the area. Matter of fact, we'd be still lower than Georgetown. So,
So I had a conversation with Mike, and these are recommendations, and as passed here tonight, we have to have a public hearing. And then after a public hearing, we have the authority to vote to set it. I guess, I mean, I would recommend that we have a public hearing at the next select board.
Let's do a public hearing before our next select board meeting. We'll do it at 5 o'clock and have the meeting immediately afterwards.
Yeah.
25 cents seems really, that still seems low to me.
Well, it does, but like he pointed out there that Georgetown went to 40 cents. I mean, it's going to be hard. We're at 10 or 15, right? So it's very hard to go from 10 or 15 that we've been at for decades and jump. I mean, I don't know. It's a good thing to talk about at the public hearing. But,
right. But I think in the meantime, we ought to look at some other towns and see where they are, because, you know, I mean,
did you do any research?
Yeah, I have a bunch of other examples.
The appellant should pay the cost of what they want to do. It should not be paid by the general public. You know, my tax dollars shouldn't subsidize some guy that's making a subdivision. And that's the way I looked at it when I was on the planning board, and that's the way I look at it now. The appellant should be paying 100% of the cost. Like you mentioned earlier, what people don't see, yes, we have the cost, staff cost, we have the cost of the advertising, but we also quite often have to involve the town attorney in this. And if we have to spend $500, $700 for the town attorney to get something, make sure we're doing something right, why shouldn't the appellant? I think it should say, I guess what I'm trying to say is it should say plus advertising costs and legal fees.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, as you know, we
should have an avenue where we could collect what legal fees we needed if somebody was proposing something that we needed to have a town attorney's blessing. Right? We should be able to collect that from the appellant. It shouldn't be paid for by the general public.
A lot of the towns I saw in the research that I did are adding on the advertising fees for all the things that require a public hearing. So the subdivision, the appeals, Board of Appeals, and the exceptions.
Yeah. When you read our ordinance, it talks about advertising twice, 10 days or more before the public hearing.
Right.
Twice. So I asked him, and so some of these, even a legal notice, which is the least expensive way to advertise, which is 75 to 150, depends on the number of words.
Right. Yeah.
So if you start, no, I don't disagree, David. The only good thing is if the select board can set these, maybe we do this and we go a year or two. And if you look at the town report that we just did or have, you'll see that Mike totaled up all the building permit fees for last year, and if I recall, it was a little over $12,000. Then over here, there's the plumbing permits, and that was a bigger number, and he's saying that 25% goes to the state. So we're trying to do some math, you know, we're not gonna recoup every dollar of code officer or every dollar of this.
No, we're
but
not,
I
we're not
agree,
gonna, we're not gonna recoup his costs.
Right.
Here's the cost of having a codes officer, but I still think that,
Yeah.
you know, if it's a situation where there's some legal thing that we need to know before the planning board can okay something,
Yeah.
I think the appellant should pay for that, not the townspeople as a whole.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't see where we couldn't put in, you know, wording just that said, so much per lot, plus advertising and legal fees if necessary.
Yeah,
You know?
well, if you recall in the subdivision ordinance, it does say that if other, things are required, they remember all those years, you know,
Right.
if you have to have other, whether it's just, you know,
Right.
more legal work, or if it's a professional hydro work, remember all that kind of stuff?
Yeah,
I guess the question is, do we advertise, so when we advertise this, we have to advertise the proposed fees, I
Right.
suspect, right? In the notice, right?
Right.
So do we wanna go with Mike's recommendation and then?
I would say let's go with his recommendation
Yeah.
tonight, but at the public hearing, we could have a discussion of it, and if it changes, as
That's
long
right.
as it's done, as long as it changes or announced at the public hearing, then we can, we'll have a public hearing before the next meeting,
Yep,
and,
2 weeks from tonight at 5 o'clock.
yep.
And that gives more than 10 days for notice.
Yep.
Kim, you all good with that?
Let's jump down to new business just for a second, then I'll come back to you guys. We've been talking downstairs about a plowing workshop, so, and Kim mentioned another workshop earlier. You wanna schedule those for 4 o'clock next Wednesday?
Allison can do
5
5.
o'clock.
Allison can do 5. I just want to be clear that she can't do 4, but she
Okay,
can do
well,
5.
that's an off night, so, let's do it at 5.
1 week from tonight,
Okay.
5 o'clock.
And we'll combine the two, with a workshop on both issues. And, you know, I think we've gotta jump on this plowing thing sooner
Well,
rather than later.
yeah, and the assessor.
We've gotta know that we've got contractors to plow the town next fall.
Well, yeah, and I think, at the work,
Otherwise, we're gonna put plows on all the four-wheel drive fire trucks over there. You know,
the
Sean and his crew,
UTV,
Sean and his crew will be out all night.
air packs, will be wearing the air
Yeah,
packs.
packs, yeah.
Keeps you warm.
Yeah. Yeah, David, maybe what we can do with the workshop is start to come up with a tentative schedule of when to go to bid, when they'll be due,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
and then a town meeting, special town meeting.
And I think we should take, and again, Jason, you know a lot more about this than I do, but I think we should take a good long look at the contracts and see if there's any way we can tweak them to make more sense out of them. If there isn't any way to do that, so be it, we'll leave them where they are, but we might be able to, you know, take a road off one, put it on another one, or something like that.
We'll have copies, of the
I've been
existing.
collecting some example contracts from other towns.
I know Tommy researched, and Pittsburgh is very much like us, and so we can pick some different ones, and
Yep.
that's what we'll do, we'll start.
Okay, so we'll plan on those two
I'll think.
at 5 o'clock next Wednesday, okay?
Okay.
All right, now back to EMS director.
Oh, good morning. So we responded to 37 calls in April. We actually had 35 patients, I wrote it down on yours, and 23 transported. So it was a pretty busy month for us. MCA1 was called 7 times, and we responded to mutual aid to Westport Island 3 times. I want to thank Jason and Allison for presenting the Phoenix Awards at the town meeting. That was a nice surprise for the people who received those. Also, the only other thing I have is in order to have a provider with an AED up in the north side of town, we don't have anybody far north. Craig Collins is on Shops Cross Road. And I would like to request to use the AED funds, the account, to purchase one more LifePak CR2 AED like we carry in our cars that's compatible with our monitor. They're running about $2,500 right now. I'm trying to find places that have them cheaper, but so I guess I'm requesting to be able to spend some of that money to buy one more so that we have coverage up in the north side of town as well.
We still have money in the AED fund, sure.
There's-
So is this up to 25 or will that
It
cover?
would be up to
Up
25.
to-
That's the high end of what, if I go through Stryker right now, that's, I can find it cheaper. So,
I mean, I'll make that a motion if we have to or whatever.
Yeah.
Move to authorize up to 2,500.
Second. Those in favor? There you go.
and that's all I have.
I have something for you. Dresden, I made an executive decision, and I probably should have talked to you first, but I made it anyways. Dresden called me the other day, wanted to know if we wanted to take over their EMS duties, and I said we want to be good neighbors, but I didn't feel that at this time we could commit to taking them on a permanent basis. I said, if you need us, call us, if we're available, we'll come. So, but I said, other than that, I said, I can't see us,
For us to be able to go out of town like that, we would have to have more per diem to be able to guarantee that we're also covering us.
Yeah.
Right now, Wiscasset's, they have the mutual aid deal with them, they pay them a certain amount of money. I'm not sure how their deal works. I mean, in the future, if there is, if we start covering other towns like that, we would have to figure out the amount. This is what it's gonna cost us to have the personnel and
I
the trucks
think we'd
ready.
have to add another truck.
Yeah, in the end, if we were to respond, we'd at least
You know,
have to have 2 crews on at all times if we were gonna do that, I think.
And I just didn't think that relying on that 1995 truck would be wise, taking on another town.
It's a 2005, but
2005.
it's still 20 years old.
But right now, when we do go, we just go as Wiscasset's back.
Yeah, Wiscasset calls us mutual aid because their trucks aren't available, so we go to Dresden.
So real quickly though, was she talking about like not contracting with Wiscasset and asking?
Yes.
I
She was talking about us being the.
It's something in the future
primary-
we could look to
primary
set up to do
provider,
for other
right.
towns, like if Rouseck, Georgetown, Westport, those people wanted to do that, but that would be really restructuring, it would be a lot more cost for us, so we would have to figure out how much they would pay us.
I just figured that if Wiscasset is struggling to do it, why would we want to try it?
I mean, if you can get the crew and and the money, like they can guarantee that we're not spending all of Woolwich's money to cover all of their calls, you can make it work, but as you know, there's shortages of providers right now. There's, especially with we're paying people standby, not much to be available. I would also have to know how many calls they get to Dresden each year, like to see what the cost would be, in the time.
I told Lisa, I said, look, if you need us and we're available, we'll come. But I said, we can't guarantee that we'll always be available. And I said, I just don't think it'd be in Woolwich's best interest to try to expand at this point.
I'm not against expanding in the future, but that takes research and planning for it, and it's not something that we could just suddenly start.
Well, the tricky part real quick is we have a very good fire and EMS department, right? So we've got some great gear, great personnel, and we do well. So then we did that. I know fire's been around, but it's come a long way. But EMS, we did that because of what we had for problems, right? So whether it's northeast or whether it's whatever. So, not to say this the wrong way, but our first importance is our own town, right? I mean, and that's me personally, the way I see this. And so all of a sudden you go down a different road and things change. And then, I mean, I looked at Wiscasset's budget the other day, and I think it's almost $1 million, right?
$1 million.
Yeah, it's $1 million, the EMS budget. And so,
I mean, they get a lot more calls than we do, but if we started adding calls, like CLC, they have it works well for them, the model. They have like 9 towns that basically pay for everything.
Right.
But again, they have 2 crews on, they have to get more people if like there's calls in 3 or 4 towns.
but back to Wiscasset though, Wiscasset for years, like we went back and forth with some discussions even before you were the director, how much do they take on before how far does this go, right? So Wiscasset does Dresden, Westport, right? And then Alna, right? And their own town, so it's like, and they're in $1 million budget, and they still can't always do, I know that nobody can always do it.
Personnel, it's not that they don't have the trucks and the.
See, I would rather see a regional approach like Seal,
I mean, that has its.
And the county, I mentioned it a year or two ago over to the county, and if you just.
We call it county ambulance.
But
County. That's on
they
TV.
actually are talking about it now, they're
Because
talking
you
about,
need
because
to
they'd
sell
like to build a
that.
public safety building, and they figure the only way they can sell that countywide is to provide more countywide services, so, you know.
I know they wouldn't
you
do
know,
that for fire, probably ambulance because of some services.
But anyways,
I mean, yeah, regional
I
or
just told
even
her that, you know, I.
multi-towns working
Yeah.
together, you know, can work, but that does take planning and, honestly, more time than I would have alone to come up with that plan. That's a big change, and, so we're just, our services, again, the town comes first, and we'll take care of other people, and we go mutual aid. You know, they need us, we're there.
Yeah, if you're
And
available.
if we need them, Wiscasset is here.
If
So,
you're available,
yeah.
you do mutual aid. You can't always be available.
No, and
And
that's,
that's the thing. So anyway, I wanted to tell you that I did have that conversation with them, and I just told them I didn't think we could do it at this time.
that's the right call. I mean, and again, maybe in future, maybe something like that comes out, but right now, we're not set up for that system. And our budget that we just passed for the town wouldn't pay for that. All right.
Sean?
4 calls so far this month. Tomorrow night we're hosting the second of 2 regional trainings. This is more of a broad spectrum class tomorrow night. Pretty much any firefighter in the county that wants to attend can attend that. Sounds like we should have a pretty full house. Squad is over in Auburn right now getting a new roll-up door, the door that was damaged from months and months ago there. So I'm hoping to see that back by the end of the week. I met with a new member this morning, lives over off Dan Mill Road in the Fawcett Pines. Used to be a member of another department in another state. He's been living in Bath, just recently moved into Woolwich. Seems like a good solid younger person and good level head, and already has some training under his belt. So I've given him an application and hoping to see that next week or so. The 4 old bottles from our old fill station compressor sold. So the total amount that we received from that sale was $855. So once Kim has access to that, then we'll be able to put that toward whatever bills left for the wiring or whatever. The end of this month, the department that offered me, I believe it was $22.50. I have to double check that for the fill station. In chat with them, they're still confirming that as far as purchasing that from us. So should be lining that pickup up toward the end of the month, and so that'll be another. You know, the sale company takes a little bit off the top, so I'm guessing right around 2,000 we'll get out of that sale. So that should cover our losses as far as the electrical hookup, I believe. So that's good. So that's getting rid of 2 more things that have been cluttering up the days. Allison had tagged me and Kim in an email reference to flag downtown. If we heard any movement on what I was going to ask her tonight, but the weight is still downstairs in the radio room. I hadn't heard. Last I heard, one of my guys, Frank, had tried to do that and it won't move.
Kim contacted the company that put it up with.
There's a company in Waldeboro, and they have not reached, well, I have talked to them. They don't know when they're gonna be out here, but since this afternoon, development has changed.
Yeah.
And Richard Fisher, who Bob Mead has, his neighbor, is willing to be on the monument committee. He has a 40-foot ladder and is
And he has your number
going to
now.
reach out to you to get the weight, and he thinks he can fix the,
Do you remember
The rope.
Leanne Fisher, right?
Say that again?
You know Leanne Fisher, right?
Yes.
This is her husband.
Oh,
You know Richard, and so he's offered to step up. He's done some work down there, and
Yeah.
he's willing to. So I gave you your number an hour or 2 ago, and he's gonna reach out to get that gear. She has the
and
new
the
flag.
key, yeah, he'll need
The
the
key.
key and the weight and,
I took the crank down one night,
yeah.
and I started cranking it down. I was gonna bring the flag down so we could put a new flag on it, because that flag's in horrible shape. And I was cranking it in the right direction. I read the instructions and everything, and it came down part way, and then
Yeah.
it started going back up.
That's not-
Yeah.
oh,
So I said, well, the rope
Slow as
must
it
be
goes.
twisted. So I started cranking it the other way, and it still went up.
Yeah.
So
There's
no matter
something
which way I turned it, it went up. So there's something going on with the ropes inside of that thing. if it keeps bobbering, I would say the thing to do is go up and drill a hole through it, put an eye bolt in the top, put a pulley on it, and just make it a regular flagpole. We put a cleat down the bottom and make it a regular flagpole. If somebody wants to go down, some vandal wants to go down and lower the flag, we'll go down and put it back up. But that thing's been a nuisance since,
Oh, yeah.
since we had it. It's never worked any great length of time. It seems to work better if it goes up and down a lot.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think it almost would pay to send somebody down there once a week, crank it down, crank it back up. It seems like if it sets for a long time, it messes up.
He's gonna reach out sooner than later.
Okay.
Because, he knows
But,
the
yeah,
Memorial Day and the.
Yeah, we do have a company that's willing to do it. We have a volunteer that's willing to do it, so we'll hopefully get that thing straightened out.
Yeah.
So what do we know about the other flagpole though? You'd asked about
Yeah,
this, remember
so
this one?
I've got people that are asking when that's gonna be fixed, because they want the fire flag back up.
The one out here, what was it?
That one just tips down.
We need to lay it
All we
down.
gotta do is pull a bolt out of the top of it and lay it down.
Yeah.
We need either a bunch of people to lay it down or
Yeah.
some kind of a machine that can.
And did you say, or am I mistaken, but somebody at one point was willing to paint it? I thought somebody was gonna paint the
I
flag.
thought we were gonna have Dale paint it.
Oh.
Yeah.
This year?
Dale was gonna paint the side of the building too. They were
He's gonna paint it.
And the ramp and the, yeah.
And the ramp and the doors.
Sorry, Dale.
Still waiting.
I was
Still waiting.
thinking this, Dale.
Yeah,
I'd like to see.
Oh, you're gonna paint
Maybe
it?
it'll light a fire. Yeah, come on,
Well, the
Dale.
thing is, if we lay it down, should it be, because I remember one time we laid it down, we put it on a sawhorse, so we
Oh,
laid it on.
we had it laid down once
Yeah.
before, and so
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
I think we just did it with a bunch of people.
Yeah, no, I remember, yeah, we came down with Nick and me, or you and him and them.
A bunch of guys and just.
Is Larry willing to paint it?
Well, I have somebody that probably would.
Would paint it?
Frank Petrulli would probably paint that
Oh,
for us.
that is a very good suggestion.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
if you let me know when you wanna get it down and get
Well, the thing is, if
I
we're
can
trying to get
probably
it-
line him up to do it.
Yeah, if we're trying to get it down before Memorial Day, get it
Right.
down and get it put back up,
You
then,
brought a backhoe down.
well, we can get the, oh yeah, we can get it down.
Easily.
There's always a way to get it down. But we wouldn't wanna get it down unless somebody was prepared to
Right.
work on it. Or if it was the day they were gonna mow the lawn, or if it
Yeah.
was, whatever.
Want me to find a couple days?
Yeah,
Get it-
if you reach out and give us a window, we'll get together. But oh yeah, I remember it's got one bolt and one bolt that holds it.
Well, we got the thing down, we ought to put all the ropes on it. You know, I mean, if it's gonna be laying down, we ought to look over all the pulleys and the ropes.
Fix it.
And fix anything that
Yeah.
needs to be fixed while it's laying down.
Yeah. Well, reach out, cause
Yeah,
well, if I get a day or so, a day or two, we can meet early in the morning, whatever you wanna do.
Now, you let me know, you can come.
Well, whatever,
do it.
Sean,
I'll give you a hand.
Get some good weather, right?
Yeah,
Anything else, Sean?
that's all I have.
Well, we have something for you. I have a bill here for $2,368.46,
Yep.
which is dated one day after the last bill. How long have you known about this?
Yep, so that bill, I got that, last Thursday or Wednesday. That is the additional work that they had to do on engine 3 to surpass the quote. And it says that in there, obviously. This is all the stuff that basically had to be replaced before they put it back together. It just wasn't gonna make any sense. You see all the valves.
It's dated April 8th.
You know, I only got it last week, like I said, so.
So this is the 7.
This is the extra that they
Yeah,
had.
so we
you know.
approved up to 18.
I know, no, I know.
And
Yeah.
then it was 17.3 or something, the
It was
first. bill.
17.3, and then this is the extra, and
I mean,
I told him, I
obviously-
said, be good to us, but I said, this, you
This
know.
puts it up close to 20 grand. So,
Yeah.
okay, where we're at,
Well, can I ask one quick question?
Yep.
How much is this door repair thing, this roll?
Under 1,000.
Under $1,000?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're just worried about money.
No, I know, I completely understand, and I told him, I said, I gave you guys the amount, but he called me like 3 different times, he said, we're gonna squeeze what we can, but while I have him here, we can't put this together with these parts, we have to put new parts, so I'm like, do what you gotta do, I mean, I need the truck, so a lot of this is, like I said, you see the labor, 1,500 in labor, I mean, there's nothing we can do with that.
where I'm going with this though, is we need you to stop spending. Don't spend any money.
No,
You're at the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, no, I get it, we buy what we need to make it through.
Yeah, but, you know, unless it's something that is absolutely 100% got to have it, don't spend it from now to the end of June.
Yeah.
We're running, we're running it at the bottom of the barrel, so to speak.
Right. Once I get everything else caught up, Kim and I chatted about payroll, I'm gonna have that ready. Once payroll is done, then I
Payroll,
can.
we've got covered.
Yeah, no, I know. Well, that's what once that's done, then I'm gonna kind of figure out where we can pull the rest of from different lines, so.
Yeah. We may have to sell a truck or two.
Not the fire trucks, his truck.
Big green one. Yeah.
No, gray one. Is it silver or gray?
Green
Oh,
one. We
your truck.
get a couple grand out of that big green thing.
All right, well, let us know on the flag.
Yeah.
All right. Old business. Kim, do you have anything under old business?
No, I don't.
Okay. New business, we have a mowing contract.
Yeah, so I had put that on there so it could be signed by the board this evening. And then I received an email from Kevin from Four Seasons. They started mowing today. And apparently he said that because of the new grass that's on the side of the town office, he wants to renegotiate the contract. And I texted Jason and I said, okay, hold on a minute.
Been over this.
So we already did this.
Wasn't there grass over in the parking lot last year and they mowed that? Yep, so I told him to he asked if he wanted to stop, he said, do you want us to stop mowing? And I said, no.
Keep mowing.
Continue to mow, and then we will negotiate, give me a price and we will negotiate. So I don't know if you want to hold off on this, because he's already started mowing. His first payment is due on May 23rd.
Let's figure how much extra we added down here minus what we took away over there.
I think we want to work with these guys, but the difficult part, do you remember the day that you were down in the park? I thought it was you and me and you and everything, and we talked to the guy, and they were all excited. It's like, we're gonna be mowing this. I mean, it wasn't rocket science.
Yeah.
It's grass. They mowed it today before they called Kim, because I saw it was mowed early. And we put our best person on it, Kim, the contract negotiator. So, it's like, no, it's like.
I did not point out that, that
Right. They did
across
mow.
the parking lot, so I'm gonna wait until see what he proposes. And then if it's high, I'm gonna say, you do realize that.
There's some square footage there that they don't need to
You were
mow.
mowing that, and now
They
you
were mowing.
don't.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
well,
That-
wait,
that
he hasn't
should- that
emailed
should
me yet,
account
so
for at least
I'll,
half of
we'll just
what-
leave that.
what we-
Well, yeah, and the funny part is they knew about this and they had their chance to, Kim reached out to them
I
over the
did,
winter.
and they said
They
same
said the
price,
same
so
price.
I don't
It's-
understand why it was a big issue all of a sudden.
It's funny
But
how it's a
I'll let
surprise.
the board know what, it is, and we'll go from there.
Wasn't that the boss man that was doing the?
I thought the day that we were down there
Yeah.
at the bottom of the hill, we were like, you guys are all happy? Oh, yeah, and he remember he goes,
Yeah.
we're gonna do it with the same price, like, you do that as a bigger area over here.
Yeah, and now it's a problem. Maybe
Oh,
it's
well.
because it's at a slant, maybe it's a slant.
No, you know, the funny thing is, they mowed it sideways.
Yeah,
Did you see that?
No.
Remember we were all worried about grade, they mowed the entire slope
Ah.
sideways.
I know.
Yeah, there, go look at the lines. So now it's not too steep. That's not-
So, all right, so we'll just hold off on that.
They like mowing
until I hear
sideways,
from 'em.
one being off the ground.
I do have a question. We are holding that public hearing next, select board meeting at 5. And I know that we're meeting with Walter Briggs.
Yeah.
Was that at 5 or was that,
He's supposed to come to the,
During the select board.
Just on the agenda.
so that's during the select board
Yeah,
meeting,
next
okay.
select board.
I didn't know if we were gonna have it, okay.
Yeah, I would
I
think
couldn't
that,
remember the time on
I
that.
would think he would be, his new business or
I
something.
thought he was gonna be here tonight.
No, we got
No,
pushed
'cause
off.
Allison
'cause
wouldn't be
Allison
here.
got-
No, well, that's right too. He's gonna be here the second meeting of this month.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
okay, so I'll just
For
add
our
it on to new
regional-
business.
Our regional sunken boat.
that's gonna be an
Yeah.
interesting conversation.
And they
Okay,
did
we
send out
do
the email,
have
right?
one more thing that we have to do under
Yes.
new business.
Whoops,
Yes,
yeah.
our issue, yeah.
We have to sign the Regional School Unit 1 warrant and notice of election. So motion to sign this?
So moved.
Second,
Is there a second?
second.
Yeah, Tommy.
Those in favor? Okay.
This is like everything, we have no choice.
Right.
We haven't signed it. It's the posting of the,
And then I have one last thing, if you guys are, so Richard Fisher, we were talking, he, has agreed to be on the monument committee. So there's his appointment, that needs to be signed.
Okay, motion to appoint Mr. Fisher to the Monument Committee?
so moved.
Second.
Those in favor?
This is good, he's a very good friend of Bob's and he's been doing some stuff and Kim heard the conversation and,
Hold it though.
oh, probably a little bit older than me, maybe, I
Well,
don't know.
he
Well,
is,
Rich is probably,
oh, I don't know, 50-ish?
yeah, maybe late 50.
55-ish, 56-ish?
So
Yeah.
we'll get a few years out of it.
Oh, no, he's great. He said, he goes, I have a 40-foot ladder. I don't think I've ever even heard of a 40-foot ladder. And so, you've got two of them? Tom, you wanna be on the monument committee? We get you busy.
I used to rent 40-foot ladders.
Did you
all the
really?
time.
So he said, he goes, I don't mind going up that flagpole. I said, oh geez, well, I go, he seems to know all about it.
Well, I tell you what.
If he can fix it for free, I'm all for
Yeah,
it.
he's willing to do
I
all
wish
kinds.
when it had come down to where it stopped and started going back up again, I should have stopped right there, because I could have gone down with a 20-foot ladder
Yeah.
and reached the flag at
Yeah.
that point. But I didn't know it was gonna go back up.
No, right.
It just mattered, and then once it started going up, I said, oh, I'll crank it the other way, and it didn't matter which way I cranked it, it went up.
It's like a bad window shade.
Yeah, same thing.
No, I think
Obviously, the rope inside that pole is crossed.
he's gonna be great. I don't know if you guys have looked at it real quickly, but Kevin's done some of his work, but before Kevin did his work, these guys were down there sweeping, cleaning, and so they made a big pile. I said to Rich Fisher there, I said, you speak to Kevin, you did some work, so you make sure he hauls off this stuff, and he did, I guess he has most of it. And, but he definitely has an interest in.
Kim, are you gonna post
He got
these on
that boat that sticks out.
I can.
Almond Street.
Yeah.
Please.
They're
I'm
big.
mean by this.
Oh, it's a
Matter
big,
of fact,
it's a
put it
big,
right out.
it's a big, no, it's a big sailboat. It's like that far out the bay.
Okay.
He's always had it there. He has-
I can do that.
I'd like to see us actually have some people show
It
up.
would be nice, but how many people showed up for the RSU budget?
So, you guys gonna
I can
come?
tell you how many.
We're gonna try to.
How many
The planning
more?
board's
How
at,
many
and I don't,
more?
it's 6 o'clock too. I don't know.
One, no, two, me and Jetty.
I think the
I
question,
thought Jason said you were going.
What?
To the RSU meeting.
you know what, to be honest with you, I was going and I texted Tommy, I've been sick this week. I really have. And I said to you, would you be upset if I didn't go? I usually always do what I say, but I was really sick Monday and Tuesday. I haven't felt good at all, but.
Two people, woo-hoo.
I should go.
Are we adjourned?
I just got so
Aren't
discouraged.
you have to go to that anyway, right?
I have to go to this anyways, but
That school one, I know.
the
Bye, Tom.
the school, I just got so discouraged. I went every year for years, and I would be the only one there standing there saying, let's not
Yeah.
spend so much money, and everybody would be booing and hissing and, you know.
I have a quick recommendation, I can't stay on, I have a quick recommendation on that. You remember the year that we met at the school, all 5 of the select board?
Yeah.
I think we ought to go to the beginning meetings, like way back in the middle of the winter, and set the tone right up front and say, look, we don't
broke.
Yeah.
We have no money.
But what we've heard from a lot of, people's taxes, the impact, whatever, you do the best you can. It's so hard to go at the tail end of this.
Going to the meeting on Monday, it was pointless to
Yeah.
argue about
I knew that too.
specific choices that they made in the budgeting process.
Right.
That needs to be done, 3 months ago.
It's like your budget here. The couple of questions I would have here is what you said, can you do the multi-payment option
Yeah.
maybe? But you gotta admit, right now, if you go to this meeting and you say, wow, I noticed you have this much money in there for sheriff's deputy clothing, it ain't gonna go anywhere now, right? But at the first meeting, which you have a budget advisory group anyway, but at the first meeting, if you go there and you're like, guys, we've had 2 big hits. The last couple of years have been big impacts. The school's the same way. This is a big 390 and last year was 3 something, right?
Yeah.
It's like, David, those are like,
So,
I'm getting.
Well, I moved to adjourn.